Hey everybody, welcome to KimmelsIrishPub.com. Time for another movie review. Before I do that, just want to say we are Penn State champions at the Fiesta Bowl. I was there. I seen my live feeds. I Facebook Lived a lot of the stuff from there. But anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about the movie. The movie tonight is The Mountain Between Us, starring Kate Winslet and Idris Elba. I think that's the way you say it. You know who I mean. A lot of different movies. Also has Beau Bridges in it and Dermot Mulroney. IMDb gave it a 6.4, and the Rotten Tomatoes 41% from the critics and only 49% from the users. It's essentially a movie about the two main characters are Kate Winslet and Idris, and they are on a plane that crashes into a mountain, and they're stuck on this mountain. And I think they at some point realize that nobody's coming to get them. So they must find their way off the mountain or through the wilderness or the mountains between them, whatever. So it's about their struggle about that. So it should be interesting. Kind of maybe like Open Water a little bit, Alive, if you will. I don't know. Combine the two and you come out with The Mountain Between Us. So I'm going to get into it a little bit and let you know what it's really about, and I'll check in. Thanks for tuning in. See you in a bit. Hey everybody, I want to do a quick check-in here. We're watching The Mountain Between Us. We're at the 37-minute and 41-second mark. So I just want to elaborate a little bit more on the synopsis that I gave you earlier. As I mentioned, Kate Winslet and Idris are trying to get home or get back to wherever. So Idris plays a doctor who is trying to return to Baltimore for an operation on a 10-year-old boy, and Kate Winslet is trying to get home for her own wedding. Why she would be traveling the day before her wedding, I don't know. That's, sounds like a bad idea. She's a journalist, and she was taking pictures or whatever, and now she's trying to get back. So, but they're trying to fly out of Idaho, I think it is, or Iowa, one of the two, and all the flights are canceled. They're not going to be able to make it home, and they bump into each other at the airport. And she comes up with the idea to charter a plane. So she finds one of the planes that are stored at the airport there, privately owned, and that's Beau Bridges. And Beau Bridges is a pilot, and he says he will fly them to Denver for $800, and that and then they can go wherever they need to. And they've already booked flights out of Denver to their destination, New York or Baltimore. And the whole reason the flights are canceled is because the snowstorm's coming. So you figure that that's what's going to happen. The snowstorm's going to come. Well, not a spoiler alert because I'm only 37 minutes into this movie. It's just how they wreck. They wreck because Beau Bridges has a stroke, and so they wreck the plane. And there's a dog with him as well. So, kind of scary there. Imagine, just surviving a plane wreck. So they're stuck on a mountain now. They've landed. The doctor has patched her up. Her leg is hurt, but they're there waiting to be rescued. And the conversation's happening of, okay, do we leave and try and find our way out of here and walk, or do we just stay and wait to be rescued? So they're debating that the whole time, and you're going to see what happens from there. And as they try and survive this issue. Meanwhile, they're visited by a bobcat. Of course, comes and attacks them while they're in the plane, or attacks her. He's out scouting, looking for where to go or what to do, and she shoots it with a flare. So I think they're like down to one flare already. So far so good. Again, the only thing that's really odd to me is the fact that she's traveling the day before her wedding. I don't know. But other than that, it's interesting. Can't wait to see where it goes. I'll keep you up to date, but now you have a better idea of how this all starts. Alright, see you in a little bit. Hey everybody, we're at the credits. Sorry, there's not a lot of check-ins on this one either. I expected there might not be. Because everything's said in the synopsis. It's really, the two of them crash land, and then it's a fight for survival. Do they stay put, or do they move forward and try and find civilization of some sort and become rescued? So that's really all it's about. There's not much more for me to share with you, and how they do that. They're both injured in the airplane, and they go through different scenarios and issues that they run into trying to find civilization, and that's basically it. I draw it down. I know I talked about Open Water, You know, where two people are out in the water trying to stay alive. The movie where the sports team crashes on a mountain and goes down in a different direction to there. So it's the combination of that. Reverent, which I think is interesting because Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, Titanic, but not so much Titanic in this, but maybe a little bit. But Reverent and his fight for survival, and then Walking Out is another one. So if you haven't seen Walking Out, I've done a review on it, so check on my channel and you can see a little bit more about that. But I mean, basically, if you haven't seen Walking Out, it's understandable. It's a lower budget film, unlike Open Water, Alive, and Reverent. I'm sure a lot of people know about and everything like that. You just put them in, you mix them up, and you come out with this movie. So that's really what it's about. The whole question, for the most part, is, do they make it? You know, do they make it? Does one make it, not the other? Do they both not make it? You know, that's the question, and how they go through all of this. And I'm not going to give that away for you. I am, but I'm not going to right away. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to say, you know, I was teetering on a 7, and then I'm going to bring it back to a 6. You know, as you can imagine, they're two strangers trying to learn how to interact with each other and develop a relationship to trust each other to try and get out of the woods and stuff like that. And for that part of it, it was at a 7 for me. I liked it. And then there's a whole nother thing to it that's the reason I really gave it a 6. And that's it. I'm gonna jump into a spoiler in 4 seconds. And then talk a little bit more. So if you don't want it spoiled for you, you can go ahead and turn it off now and then hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, all that stuff. But if you want to hear a little bit more, it's going to spoil it slightly. It's still entertaining, but I'm going to go ahead and give you a second to pause it. Okay, for those of you who stuck around, as I had mentioned, this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, so you know the whole basis, the synopsis of the movie, the relationship building and things like that. So they do build up a relationship. But at one point they find an actual house. And they go into the house and it only has 2 cans of beans or something like that, whatever. And they're surviving in there, and then, you know, they get together. So his wife had died. She is engaged to somebody else, and you know, so they built that relationship, and they you know, get together there in the house, and you could tell that they do really like each other, probably even love each other at this point, just because of the tragedy that they're sharing together. And so, okay, and then they still have to struggle to get out, and even more things happen, and then eventually they make it out. That's a spoiler for you. They make it out off the mountain, and they survive. But then they come back to their real life, and you know, you've seen this hundreds of times, but they come back to their real life, and now, you know, what's going to happen with them and their relationship. And that's another, almost not a third of the movie, but it's another small portion of the movie at the end. I was like, why is this movie so much longer? They got out. But no, now it becomes a romantic action film. You know what I mean? A romantic drama or whatever. You know, he goes off. You know, they both have to heal, but he goes off to do his doctoring, and she goes back to her fiance and does her photography, and you know, life continues to go on as you think, but then, you know, it comes back to, oh, maybe they should get back together, and you know, so there's that whole love aspect. I'm not going to tell you what happens between that. I'll keep that for you, but they have that whole, you know, do they, you know, fall in love together, and she leave the fiance, and they come back together, or do they go their separate ways, and you know, ta-da. So I'll leave that piece for you. If you want to watch this movie, check it out. But it was that little piece. It's still good, but I don't know, kind of, when you see it, you'll know what I mean, I think. The acting, I think, is very good, obviously. I like both of those actors and actresses. I thought they did a great job. And the dog was phenomenal. But, you know, no fault there, and that's what gave it close to a 7. But then when you see that other piece of it, drops it down to a 6 for me. It's Kimmel's Irish Pub. Check it out. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your comments. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.